Hey, I found some discoveries in numbers. I could see some interesting patterns with the help of squares and digit sum. Uh, let's take some numbers. Now let's square it, you know. Square of 2 is 4, square of 4 is 16, so on and so forth. Now let's make some digit sum of these numbers, you know. Like digit sum of 16 is 1 plus 6 is 7. Digit sum of 25 is 2 plus 5 is 7, so on like this. So square of 16 is 256. Now how to do digit sum is adding up individual numbers. 2 plus 5 plus 6, 2 plus 5 is 7, so 7 plus 6 is 13. Now that is 1 plus 3, that is equal to 4. So here on this column you could see that all the digit sums, right? So here I started to see a pattern. Now you start to see this pattern, 1 4 9 7. This pattern starts to repeat. Not only that, there is an exact mirror pattern that appears right after the first pattern, 1 4 9 7. Here you could see that mirror of it, 7 9 4 1. Again this pattern starts to repeat. And there's also a third pattern that appears. Now if you club the both earlier patterns, okay, and then see there's a number 9. The digit 9 starts to repeat in the whole of the pattern. See, 1 4 9 7 7 9 4 1, and then again there's a 9. So this kind of interesting patterns are observed. Now let us try to do a kind of diagram using these numbers. Let us say that the pattern 1 4 9 7 is the core of our diagram, right? And then the number 9, which actually is the kind of delimiter of the two patterns. Okay, let's start filling up numbers here, starting from 1 1 2 3 4 and 5 6 7 8 and then 9. You could see that this is the pattern that is followed also. Number 1 corresponds to 1, number 2 corresponds to 4, number 3 corresponds to 9, so on. Now if we start to continue this diagram a bit more, so it somewhat comes down to like this, by filling up all these numbers. So let's call these initial numbers as base numbers. Here also we could start to see some interesting patterns. The individual numbers, when we digit sum of these numbers, it corresponds to these base numbers. Example is 29. That's 2 plus 9, that is 11. Digit sum of 11 is 2, so it corresponds to this one. So similarly, if we do a digit sum of this number, 34 is 3 plus 4, that is 7, so it corresponds to this 7. So these are the kind of base numbers. So I found that this is kind of interesting. And one more thing that we can observe here is the numbers corresponds to these base numbers, okay, the digit sums, but the square of these numbers corresponds to the score numbers. Okay, I found this pattern interesting. Also, I try to look up is there any significance, historical significance of this pattern 1497, and I found something like this. Vasco da Gama, basically a Portuguese explorer, starts to find a sea route to India, and he starts from Portuguese Lisbon, I believe, in the year 1497. Although it takes a year for him to reach India via Africa. Okay, and it's also an interesting fact that India gets its independence in 1947. It's basically like interchange of these two numbers. The significance here is that once the sea route was found out, then the other explorers and European countries like France and British started to come to India and start to colonize later on. So India finally gets its independence in 1947. So I think there is some significance to this number. I don't know if it's a coincidence only. Okay, found this interesting to share with you. I hope you appreciate this. Thank you.